Welcome to the shop. Got the FMS Pitts Special, 1.4 wingspan, 6S power. It is an aerobatic beast. It will do all the cool stuff you want and more. Great plane. But first, in this video, I'm going to go through what I normally do. I'm going to show the parts, assembly, my setup, fly the heck out of it just to show what I can do with it. And then we'll come back to the shop and summarize. We'll go over the highs and lows of the plane, and then, who's this plane for? Is this for you? Maybe your next plane? Maybe. As always, as well, I have a link to this plane in the description below, and a 10% discount code for FMS Store. If you have any questions, leave a comment. You like this stuff, hit that like button. Just hit it. Love it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Let me go through the parts and show you the assembly of this thing.
Like almost any of the FMS planes that I've received, the packaging is outstanding. You take the plane out of the multi-tiered foam box that they create, and the parts look pretty good. Sure, you might have a dent or two here or there, but for the most part, no big deal. Let me get into the pieces and parts. The FMS Pitts Special is a screw-together configuration. All the hinges are foam hinges, but based on what other folks have talked about with this plane, that is not an issue. They hold up very well, and out of the flights I've had, I have no complaints whatsoever. The paint on it is decent, and then there's those stickers that are on it. However, the white stickers. Really not noticeably a problem for me. I think it looks great, and when I'm flying it, I don't notice the difference. The part count on all the little pieces and parts that are used are pretty small, and this assembly goes together exceptionally quick. Let me take you through some of that. Sometimes I wonder why I standardized on XT plugs, because it seems like I gotta resolder new ones on ESCs all the time. But oh well, anyway, had to do it here too. Most of the comments on this plane were about the wheels and how they were incredibly loud. And just playing around with them a little bit in the shop, I noticed that they were pretty hard and pretty crummy. So anyway, there's those two screws you have to undo. The wheel pant comes off, and then you can replace it with a similar sized foam tire. Landing gear, super simple. You do have some of these nylon washered nuts that need to go into a little fiddly little spot. And I found that by using the screw and then pulling it into that slot, it made it a lot easier. Landing gear couldn't be more simple. The assembly's already created. You're just sliding it in place. And then with those long screws that you use to get the nuts in place, you take those out and just re-screw those in. There's 4 of them. Not a big deal. Using my handy dandy wow stick screwdriver that I got because I thought it'd be cool. It works well for those long screws. It just doesn't have a massive amount of torque. There's a little plastic plate that goes over the metal part of that gear, and then a whole, there's 4 of these self-tapping screws that go in, and you're done. Attaching the tail pieces is pretty simple. The horizontal stabilizer just drops in place and you have 2 screws. The vertical stabilizer is a little bit more of a challenge. The vertical stabilizer keys into the horizontal, there's a little plastic tab, and then you're going to shove it all the way forward. Now there's also a little tab right in the back of the plane, or where the rudder is, that slides into the plane, and that needs to go in also. It's hard to push that piece all the way in so the screws will go in properly or easily. So it takes a little manhandling. Now there's one more screw that goes in place. Push the tail wheel all the way up and then put the screw in to lock it down. There are 2 plastic stabilizer braces Don't know how functional they are. It might be just for aesthetics. They just snap into place. I had to kind of move it back and forth quite a bit until they would actually snap in place. I kept thinking I was going to break something. All right, so now you got the 4 wing pieces. So wings slide in on the carbon fiber spar. You thread in the aileron controls on the lower part and push the wing all the way in place. After doing that, you've got 4 screws to screw into the bottom to hold the wings on. Now we have the wing struts. So slide those into the bottom. Now they go in one way, and so it took some fiddling around to realize how they go in, but I took some pictures of how it looked. The top wing, same thing, got a carbon fiber spar, and then it slides onto the tabs. Now you've got some plastic pieces that are going to get placed over that, and then you screw everything together. They are different, so you'll have to make sure that you're putting them on properly, and there's some indentations in the foam that kind of help guide you through that process. There are these 2 control rods, and they connect basically the ailerons. So since there's only servos on the bottom wing, you need to connect those. Let's talk about the prop. So first, you got the spinner. It's a 2-piece spinner. You put on the back plate, and then you put on your prop and slide on the washer and slide on the nut. Now, for me, I did not use the stock prop. It's a 15.9 prop, and I use a 16.8 based on the recommendation from Model Aviator. So I use the Gemfan Zor 16.8 prop, which did require me to ream out the hole so it would fit on the motor shaft properly. A couple things in the battery tray. So one, this is where I store everything. I have got a little plastic box with all the little small pieces, and the wing struts fit perfectly in place. I've got my AR-637T in place, and my antennas, 1 horizontal and 1 vertical. Some might say that battery tray slides back in abrupt maneuvers, so attaching a piece of foam to the canopy prevents the battery from sliding back. So for setup, look, there's a lot of options depending how you want to fly this plane. If you want to be a 3D pilot with it, it'll kind of do it, and you can, but you got to have max throws. So the rates that they recommend in the manual for ailerons are a little on the hotter side. I would go a little lower, which I do, about 13 millimeters. The elevator, they're a little benign, so I jack that up to 40. And then the rudder, I usually just max that out and just add some expo. But recommendations on CG are kind of all over the place. Some might say, like Model Aviator might say 125, and others are pushing it back to 150 to the recommended. I'm kind of in the middle there, around 140-ish or so. Here's a starting point for your setup. Field assembly is pretty simple. There's a lot of steps involved, but it's simple. Basically, attach the wings, attach the wing strut, screw everything together. Now, there is a push rod that connects the lower and upper ailerons. That push rod needs to be put in place, and then connect the servos and aileron servos, and you're good to go. Here is my kind of show-off flight, where I try to push it. Still, got a lot to learn with this plane, but it's a great flyer. You'll see. All right.
That knife edge is pretty simple. Knife edge is pretty good.
Meaning I didn't have to couple a lot of elevator along with rudder. It was pretty locked in at the CG I had, which was around 140.
All right, let's try to do some aggressive elevator. Wow, she didn't care. Thought she'd snap. She did not.
That accelerated stall test I do, yanking up on that elevator, it's super important to understand how your plane responds to those aggressive maneuvers. Does it all of a sudden kind of go out of control? You know, and what's happening is it's basically the wing is stalling. Even though you're going fast, it's stalling, and it's causing it to fly erratic. But that's how you do a snap roll. You're putting it into that situation. So it's good to play with that at altitude.
Very nice, big biplane. Flies really well. Fun for aerobatics, has that cool look about it. Plenty of power. All right, let's bring her in.
Time remaining 1 minute.
As you'll see on this plane, you can do a wheel landing, but it really prefers to three-point it. It'll just come down pretty graceful, actually. The low stall characteristics aid it in mastering those three-pointers if you can do it. So practice at it. For sure, this is one of my favorite aerobatic planes, and a lot of it has to do with it's a cool looking biplane. It's classic, love it. Hey, let's go back into the shop and I'll summarize for you.
Welcome back. All right, let's talk about a couple things about this plane. First off, the fit and finish. Everything went together really well. You could tell it's an older model, so some of the things didn't fit perfect. Pushing this tail section into this took a lot of effort, and you kind of smashed some foam. That was a little tricky. The way all the other pieces fit together, pretty good. The struts, the first time you assemble it, it's tough. After that, not so bad. So, but the looks of the plane and how it looks in the air, as you saw, it's a fantastic looking plane. I just love the way it assembled. There weren't any issues with it, and the looks of it are fantastic. One thing, yeah, obviously the two things I upgraded, one, the prop, and two, put on some foam wheels, and it's quiet as can be, unlike, a lot of folks said that was a serious problem. So very happy with the fit, finish, assembly of this plane. Went together very well. Let's talk about flight performance. What I found, because I'm not going to fly this thing 3D. I'm going to try to fly this thing in that scale aerobatic perspective. So doing the loops, Cuban 8s, outside loops, doing some spins, snaps, those kind of things, it does it exceptionally well. I was really love to see this thing knife edge. It required no coupling. I mean, it was just really, really easy to get a great knife edge out of it. The handling of it, the power, yes, yes, and yes. This is a solid aerobatic performer. Could you fly it a little bit more, some extreme aerobatics? Probably. That's not for me, though I'm not going to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down for that. But for me, on my just scale aerobatics, big thumbs up. Love this plane. So let's talk about who is this plane for? This plane is for the person who you've been flying a trainer. You can do aerobatics with it. You're not crashing. You're not having issues with landings. You grease it. Most likely your second trainer that has a little bit more power, I would say, because this plane has a lot of power, and if you're not used to that, that could be problematic. But the way this plane flies, it's a solid, stable, predictable aerobatic plane. You know, inverted or knife edge, stalling, it's just really a great flying airplane. They did a great job on this thing. If you're interested in one of these planes, there's a link in the description below. There's also a discount code for additional 10% off if you're so inclined. Again, if you have any questions, shoot me a comment, like, subscribe if you haven't. Appreciate all that. Take care. Have a great day.